Megan. Hey, Ellie.
Hey,
Hello. Hi, guys.
hey, thank you so much for joining us tonight, Ellie.
Of course. Thank you for having me. What an honor this is. It's going to be fun to talk to you guys.
It
It's
is.
going to be
And
fun.
everyone out there, we are here with Ellie Hardesty. You know what? I am not prepared. I did not have your bio. I so apologize. Um,
We should tell everybody right now Megan and I are in Wisconsin. We might lose you because we are getting ready to get a big old storm system coming through that's got a lot of severe stuff attached to it. So we're going to do our best to not disappear. But, right, Megan?
that's right. And for everybody listening, I do have your bio. I'm just going to read a few. Please add in just a few things. So,
Okay.
Ellie is originally from Kansas City. Um, and she rides dressage. Do you have your bronze and your silver and your gold medals?
I do have my bronze and silver halfway to my goal.
Yeah.
So hopefully I can get my gold with Barrington, my current horse, as he goes up the levels. But my last horse just went to I1, and my previous horse, my young rider horse, I did one, I2, and I didn't quite, get him to Grand Prix. So yeah, very close. And hopefully in the next, 5 years or so, we can make that goal. That would be really cool.
No pressure. And you are currently located in California.
Mhm.
And you are, where am I? In charge of sales and also the buying department supervisor of Mary's Tack and Feed located in Del Mar, California, correct?
Yes, correct. I've been there
Well,
for 11 years and I started out in sales and then I've been a buyer for the last 7 years and then moved into a supervisor role in the last year. So it's
uh,
pretty fun.
congratulations. That's so awesome. And you also are a leader in your San Diego chapter of the California Dressage Society, correct? So that's a part of events, shows, clinics, the awards program as well, correct?
Yes. So California Dressage Society is huge. It's a huge GMO, and they break it up into chapters because California is so big and there's so many members between the different areas of the state. And we represent San Diego chapter, which is one of the three largest of the whole state. And I've been involved in it in the last 8 years or so, and then running the shows and the programs and all the things you mentioned for the really for the last like 6 years. So it's been an interesting time, especially navigating through COVID and EHV virus and facility closures and reopening. So yeah, it's been a journey and it's been really fun getting to be involved in the community.
Well, massive thank you for doing all that because we need more people like you to do all that. So let's go back to the beginning. Tell
Okay.
us how you found your love of horses. Just kind of how did you get involved? Why'd you stay in it? Give us all the details.
All the things, of course. Okay, well, originally I was born in right outside of Charlotte, North Carolina, and my mom, Joyce Hardesty, who many people know, she is a licensed a technical delegate and also a judge, but she's now retired this last year. And I grew up in North Carolina in my early years. We had a beautiful farm outside of Charlotte and my mom rode dressage and would go winter in Wellington, Florida, um, back in the late 80s, early 90s, and actually worked with Hoke and Thorne and did that for many years. And Robert Dover and Jessica Ransenhausen and a lot of these really amazing riders and trainers back in the day. And I grew up, I had a cute pony named Angel. He wasn't really an angel, but he was very cute. But I learned how to ride and do all the things around the barn. And as I was growing up, we took care of the farm and all of that. And then as I got a little older, we moved to Arizona for just a few years. and my dad got transferred out there, and then we finally settled into Kansas City. So Kansas City is truly like, I would say, my home, like where I went to high school, college, and all of that. And we landed in Kansas City, and I was starting juniors. I had a horse named Nestor, and he is really like my first heart horse that got me all the way up to intermediate two. And I did juniors with him in 2006, so almost 20 years ago. That's crazy, out in Virginia, Lexington, Virginia, actually. Um, and then we did young riders the following 2 years. And then as I graduated high school, I got a young horse locally from a Dutch breeder, Kathy Childs, bred Geo Caravaggio. And it's what I could afford at the time, let's buy a nice 2.5-year-old and let's do this. And um, I had Geo all the way from when he was 2.5 till he was 15. And wow, training a young horse, that is a journey, right? That is a journey. So now we're in my late teens, early 20s, and working with Geo, and I still had Nestor. He had now retired at this point and was situated right in Kansas City. I had the opportunity from Rebecca Rigdon, who's originally from Kansas City. She would come in back for clinics, said, "Hey, you should come out here. You have a nice young horse. Come out to San Diego." She was training at the time at Arroyo Del Mar, Stefan and Shannon Peters' place. And I was like, I've got to do it. I mean, Kansas City had been great to me. There's a huge community there. And I was actually a trainer at the time. I was teaching a lot of lower level um, adult amateurs and juniors. I worked with some inventors too, and I really loved it. Um, but I just felt like I needed to step up and get more training and more education. And I'm like, San Diego is amazing. And at the time, my now husband, but we were dating, my boyfriend at the time was like, okay, I guess we're going to San Diego. I mean, he's born and raised in Kansas City, and I'm like, oh, we're going to San Diego. So there's no like, we're not guessing at this. So anyway, did that. I mean, I'm 22 at the time, and Matt, it was only like 25. So we're young, like, I mean, we're still kids at this point. I feel like we move out to San Diego. I start working with Rebecca. It was an amazing experience to be out at Arroyo. I met so many people, not only just in the San Diego community, but they get a lot of people that come in from Washington and Canada and Arizona. And it was such a place to just discover people and trainers and all the things. So we were there for almost a couple years, and then I ended up moving to a different barn and started working at Mary's, actually, and focusing on sales there, and just continuing training with Geo and working at clinics and getting involved in the community, the horse show community, which is really our background, like especially with my parents. I mentioned my mom is a TD and a judge. Well, also my dad is a licensed TD, Joe Coleman, and that's how they actually met, which is really cute, at a horse show. So I kind of call us the trifecta. So it's in my blood to, do you want to be at horse shows, want to volunteer, get involved, and that's what I started doing. So between Mary's, like starting a job and a career there, and then getting involved in the CDS San Diego chapter, and then competing Geo and going up the levels. Yeah, it's been a whirlwind. And now, I mean, my husband and I have been here now like 13 years. It's crazy to think that we've lived in San Diego and for 13 years.
I have to just put in, I love your mom. She's been a TD at a lot of the Midwest shows. I know now she's retired. I don't get to see her anymore. I miss seeing your mom. She was always helpful, always a bright face to see. So I just love your mom. So I gotta be thank you, Joyce.
Oh, yay, Joyce. Yeah, she's awesome. It was actually a real treat. I just competed last weekend, like over a week ago in Temecula, California, and both my parents came out to watch me. And it was so cute because they were, hanging out in the golf cart, like, and they got to see the other TD and, got to kind of commiserate on what's going on with Youssef and, what's the latest things in the TD world. And also just to have your parents there to be supportive was really special. So it's really truly in our blood that we're involved in dressage, even if, my mom and dad are, on the way to retirement with it. But yeah, they get to keep supporting and coming to the shows with me. So yeah.
Well, now tell us about Mary's. Like I read up a little bit. I've been to Mary's. I love Mary's. I went to Mary's in the 90s, but I didn't realize Mary's started in 1963. Like to me, that is mind-boggling for a tack store. So
It's
tell us the history on Mary's and how it's still around. I mean, it's iconic.
yeah. It is iconic. And I have to say, it's such a treat after working there for 11 years. Like when I'm down on the sales floor and I overhear customers coming in, whether they're in dressage or Western or hunter jumper, it doesn't matter what discipline. They're like, "Oh, we're at Mary's. This is so exciting. I've been waiting to come here." It's just to have that excitement for people. It's such a reminder of like why we do this in the first place and why we're still like doing it. Um, so yeah, Mary Hammonds started Mary's back in 1963 in a tiny, like barely 600 foot or square foot trailer, which is across the street from Mary, like where we are now. Um, and then, yeah, she started it. She had it. That was the place to go. There was nothing around there. If you've been to Mary's Tack, you know that there's the big horse park next there, right there. They've got the big fairgrounds. They've got polo fields. Like it's really been built up since 1963. So to see it, like to see the old nostalgic photos of it is really cool. Um, then in the 70s, Mike Mosley actually purchased it from Mary. And he then, by the mid 80s, actually built the huge barn that we're in now, which is like over 12,000 square feet. And it is pretty amazing that it's actually a barn. If you look at it, like you think it's always just a building, but it was truly a barn. So sometimes it's a little toasty in there for us. And so it's a little cold for us, depending on the weather, because the insulation's not perfect. But we manage, and it kind of makes it feel more authentic that you're actually in a barn. I see one of the comments, Disneyland of horse stores. Absolutely. Yeah, we hear that comment all the time. Actually, it is Disneyland. So yeah, it has a lot of history. The fact that we are, still a brick and mortar, we're a small business. We really pride ourselves that we run that whole business between online and in-store and events with under 50 people. And that's pretty amazing, especially in 2025 to run a business like that is pretty awesome. And I have to say, I mean, we have some amazing guys that work for us, especially our feed department and some of our IT help, but it's mostly women. And I have to say, it's awesome that, and a lot of horse girls, I have to say, most anyone who's worked there or working there has some affiliation usually with either having a horse or competing or back in their childhood or their kids ride or whatever. So it feels, as cliche as it sounds, it feels like a family, but it really is like we have so much that we bond over because it's a relatable passion that everyone has working there.
You brought up, sorry, Megan, you brought up that you guys, obviously we just talked about the 12,000 square foot brick and mortar type store,
Mhm.
but how much is dedicated to online sales? Because there is obviously a huge equestrian community in Southern California.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, so online sales, I mean, we definitely like stepped up our game after COVID, right? Like I feel like, everyone was affected by COVID in many ways, any business was. And it's very competitive in the in that market, especially with other stores and other entities like Amazon that comes into play. So we really pride ourselves having like the most, current items, competitive price, and customer service. We really have an amazing internet sales department that a lot of businesses can't offer. That you can actually pick up the phone and talk to someone, versus it being all automated. And like, I can't tell you how many times we talk to people on the phone, like about a bit or about a saddle or about the way the breeches are designed and where the seams are and all of that. Because, you can look at stuff online and it's like, okay, that looks great. That's a great price, but I don't really know what I'm getting. And how many of us have honestly, we bought stuff and we're like, oh, that was a great deal, but the quality isn't that great. So I think having that, connection with our customer service is awesome. As in for sales wise, we're definitely still, we pride ourselves in our in-store traffic. I would say, you know, maybe 70%, 70 or 40, 60, 40 is our sales. I would say probably 70% is in store and 30% online. But, before COVID, we didn't really have to worry as much as online. We didn't have to be as competitive. But I think now as things evolved, you have competitive pricing, put more into social media. We do a lot more online than we've ever had. And people have more access to online than they do in store. So we want to make the experience as enjoyable for someone who walks in the store and has the customer service with the person right there. And if they're in Wisconsin or if they're, overseas or wherever. So we've really had to kind of, evolve. And that's what's really cool. And it's only gotten better. So that's great.
We should go ahead. Sorry, Megan, give me a second. I want to go ahead and promote Mary's in the comments here. It's just Mary's tack.com, right? I want to flash it on the screen for everybody because we want people to realize who are watching this that you're not just a brick and mortar. And if, like you said, if they live in Wisconsin or let's say they're out in Virginia, or they can actually reach out to you guys and order through your company.
Yes, absolutely. And we have people there to help them over the phone, which is really nice too. I mean, that's where I started in sales, was not only helping the online department with the phone calls and video calls or anything like that, but the in-store customer. That is so helpful, in today's world, especially with our niche of an industry. Like, I mean, I have to get custom tall boots, right? Like a lot of people do, or a custom jacket or a helmet. Like I need to be sized for all that stuff. I couldn't just order it online. So the fact that we have that and all that knowledge is really important. We also really pride ourselves in like training our people, like our salespeople, like they know what they're talking about. And we really pride ourselves on educating them and getting them with the vendors, because in my department, I buy a lot of these products. So I get to work with the vendors directly, which is so cool. And, making these big decisions on what to carry and all of that. But the salespeople have to sell it, and they have to understand it. And like, I've worked with them a lot because I come from a dressage background with bits. And I know bits, there's a whole, you can never have enough bits, right? You end up buying every bit on the wall and you'll try it and you'll be an expert by the end of it. But it's really nice to feel confident when you're helping someone get a double bridle or getting their first snaffle or getting, how to fit a running martingale or a German martingale or, anything that's really, custom for them and their horse. Halter Ego. I see Halter Ego. Hi, Wendy. She's so sweet. We love Halter Ego. It's one of our favorite brands to work with. We sell their bridles, we sell their breeches and horse boots and saddle pads. And Wendy's great. She's a great owner too.
This is awesome. Well, I can tell everybody who's watching, I go to Mary's January through March because I'm wintering out in California, and have been shopping since the 90s. And so, and I've actually never had to call customer service because going in-house, everybody is so nice. And I'm always amazed at how many products you really do have. And so if anybody's watching and they're interested in Wisconsin, in North Carolina. We have shorts because I was in there this winter. So just look up Barn Besties, Mary's, and you can see like all the halters and everything. So if you can just tell us like what I was blown away, like how many halters, and it's not just dressage. You also sell
Mm.
Western equipment, correct?
Oh, yes, and that's how many people have walked into Mary's and said, "You have a second floor?" We're like, "Yes, we literally have a whole second floor. We actually have a third floor too for some office space." But yeah, the second floor is actually dedicated mostly to Western tack, Western apparel, and Western saddles and consignment saddles, English and Western. Um, and we have that is actually a huge program for us. I have to say, consignment has really taken off, I think, in the last like 5 to 10 years. Back in the day, we would be the place you go and buy your first saddle. You go buy your, the Bates or your first Pessoa, your first Wintech, first anything, depending on the discipline. And, in today's world, people have saddle fitters, people get sponsored by a lot of the amazing saddle companies, and they have people they go to internally at the barns. Um, but there's a really good resource to have knowledgeable people help you fit a used saddle. A lot of people use eBay and Facebook Marketplace, which those are great sources to sell your items, but we actually have a great consignment program for both like English and Western and dressage saddles. And it's so handy because it's on our website and you can trial it. Most people, when you buy a saddle through like eBay or Facebook, you own it. There is no trial. So the fact that we can help you through that and allow that for customer service, is really key. So we've really blossomed that department, and it's really cool. People come in looking for used saddles or, and emailing us and then even consigning them. We get a lot of people who will mail their saddles from all over saying, "Will you please consign this for us?" So it's a really cool program.
I learned something new. I had no idea. And I have a student that needs help selling her saddle. So I'll send her to you.
Please do. Yes. Yep. We have it pretty dialed in with, getting information that we need to do the research and obviously working with you or whoever wants to sell it, what the right price would be. And yeah, it's pretty streamlined. So it's a great program to have. And we also do a bit rental program, which is really popular. We sell a lot of bits, especially online, and in store. But a lot of people, again, there's so much information about bits. I mean, I've even like, I'll like look up a certain brand and be like, what bit should I try on Barry? Or, what bit should I try, this or that. And so the fact that we have a whole room of bits in all different brands that you can literally purchase, you pay a rental fee, and as long as it's not a rubber bit, we can't return rubber bits because most horses chew them, and yeah, you wouldn't want to resell that to somebody. But we have this rental program, and it allows people to try it up to a week. If they need a little extra time, we're lenient that way, but it allows them to try out multiple bits with their trainer, with or just with themselves, and make sure that it could be a good fit for their horse, because they're a big investment. I mean, bits now are up to nearly $400. So you want to make sure you're really happy with it. So that's a great program. And then you were mentioning about, how many like the halters and the bell boots and bridles and things. I mean, that's what our job gets really fun as buyers. There's four of us buyers at Mary's that really control all the inventory that comes in the store. And myself, I get to do all the nichey things, which is really fun. So my responsibility are helmets, horse boots, bell boots, gloves, belts, horse blankets, fly sheets, fly masks. This is one of my favorites. I get to do all the gifts and the toys and briars. So that's a really fun to do. Um, and which means I do a lot of seasonal buying because they're kind of nichey. And then like the other buyers that work at Mary's, they typically, buy kind of the same things from the same vendors, and they don't need to replenish the same way that I do. So it's fun. I get to go to a trade show every year with our team, and we get to see all the fresh new things in the industry from all the big brands like Lemieux and Romph and Alter Ego, Passier, Herm I can list a ton of them. So our job is, even though it's a lot of inventory control, and you got to make sure that we keep in the means of what we need for the store, it's also really creative, and we're able to try things, try brands. Sometimes they really land and stick, and some are, oops, we shouldn't have brought that in. Let's clearance that. But for the most part, that's why we have awesome salespeople and really the whole staff around the store that gets behind all the brands. And we also do a lot of events. We try to do a lot of outreach to our community by sponsoring. I mentioned we have a horse facility. We have HITS Del Mar, which used to be Del Mar Horse Park, which they've now taken over, and they put on beautiful dressage shows and hunter jumper shows and even breed shows and Western shows. They've really expanded on it. So we really have, connected with that facility again, and having those competitors come to us is really important, especially because we're right next door. So we want people walking, to Mary's and making a trip. But to have that has been so important, especially when the facility was shut down for a couple of years earlier during the pandemic, which we can talk about that in horse shows when we get there. But yeah, it's been really nice having that these last few years with HITS reopening. Oh, I see a question. Okay,
Yeah,
do you
sorry. I just
sell
find
Austrian stock saddles? That is a
yeah.
good question.
I think she probably
I
meant Australian,
Oh
because
yeah.
she's actually from Australia. We've known her
Oh,
both. So I think
I
she meant maybe to say Australian.
actually I kind of think we've have had that. Because I should almost send a message to my saddle buyer, Lori, be like, I'll take a picture of this, see if she'll respond.
We've got a comment on here. People didn't know you guys sold on consignment, so that's really great. You're getting that information out there.
Yeah.
I may have to send a saddle along with Megan this coming fall and have her drop it for consignment, right, Megan? Yeah. She says yes, Australian.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
yeah,
I will
she's from
see.
Australia. She's our Aussie friend.
Okay, I just sent it to her. We'll see. I feel like we've had them before. I mean, far and few between, but yes, I feel like we have.
So you brought up that you're near the show facilities and things. Do you guys have like I call it like a traveling trailer, but like do you have a trailer or a set of trailers where you go out and you will take products to certain horse shows? We see that a lot
Yes.
here in the Midwest.
Yes. We have the Mary's trailer, which we've done some awesome events in the past with. We actually remember when World Cup was at Vegas? I don't know if you guys attended that. Mary's did go a few times. So we made that big trip there. And then we usually stay kind of Southern California base. Either we'll go up to San Juan Capistrano, we've gone to Temecula, we've gone even just over to the fairgrounds, which is closer to the coast, just a few miles from us. We've also done some saddle fitting clinics with it, and worked with like Circle Y and Tucker saddles. We did a few events there. We've done actually a couple rodeos. Now I think about it, Lakeside Rodeo. We have done it. The biggest thing for us is that we can bring all the things to these events, and then people want what we don't have in the trailer. They're like, oh, it's back at Mary's. It's back at Mary's. So we really have to pick and choose what makes the most sense for us to represent at the show or whatever the event is. A lot of times we'll try to just bring like certain brands that are like sponsoring the event, or we're co-oping with the event. So it makes sense that the customer knows like like for instance, we had an amazing event at the Carl Hester Masterclass Symposium that happened, I think in like 2017-ish. And we did that, and it was a huge turnout. Like everyone was there to shop and have fun. And we used Romp and 1K helmets, and I believe we had Mountain Horse, a few brands from English Riding Supply, and that went off great because we didn't have to worry about bringing like, you know, double in snaps or, perfect prep or something that like, you just wouldn't have necessarily at that event, but people want because they can get it at Mary's. So we brought very specific things, but we do have an awesome trailer. We look forward to doing more events, especially if there's some big ones coming up later this year that we're hoping to get to. We're also doing some in-store things, which we just had a great little Briar ice cream social this past weekend. It was awesome. Lots of kids came, lots of Briar enthusiasts came, and we had mini ponies and face painting, and it was adorable. In July, we have Italian Day, Italian days, I should say. We've invited some of our favorite Italian brands to be represented. It's July 25th and 26th, Friday, Saturday. And we have Cavaliere Toscana, we have Cask helmets, we have Vestrum, Veritas, Prestige, many others that are getting involved, Equiline, that we're doing in store. And we're getting to celebrate the Italian brands. We're going to have wood fire pizza, and we're going to have some, I think, gelato, and who knows, we might even have some Prosecco. We might get into that. We'll see. And then we're really excited about in August, it was a really cool idea that just came about in the last few months, is a Trainer Appreciation Day.
Oh,
Right? Yes, we love
yeah.
our trainers, right? So we're doing it August 4th, and it's a Monday because typically a lot of trainers have off Monday, especially in the hunter jumper world. Dressage, it's kind of 50-50, but that's a great day where they can come to Mary's. There'll be some great exclusive deals for them. We're also going to pamper them a little bit. Like there's going to be like chirotherapy and like some like facials and some body work and yeah, exactly. So we're really excited for that, and we're getting more information about that too, for people to sign up. We really want to encourage the local trainers to come and bring their clients and get to enjoy the food and the drinks and the music and just relax and celebrate them as our beloved trainers because we, even though I say we wouldn't be this sport without our amateurs, we also wouldn't be our sport without our trainers. So we're really excited about that. So now that we used to do a huge big tent sale. I don't know if you guys have heard about the annual tent sale. That was a big event we had for many years, and now we're kind of looking at doing smaller, more intimate events for our community, and it seems to be going well. So we'll stay tuned and see on our social media what we have going on with those events.
I love that. You better have events January, February, March because I'm coming.
Yes, yes, for sure.
Hopefully.
For sure. Yes, you got to get out of Wisconsin and get into our beautiful Southern California weather. Yes.
Yes. Now, question for you. What is the favorite aspect of your job? No pressure because it's on live stream, of
Yeah.
course. But like, what do you look
Oh,
forward to? What is a bright spot every day in your job?
oh, okay. That is a loaded question because there's so many parts of that I could explain. I think, but it's a really great question. Honestly, it's been so fun being in a role where you have so much impact on what people see in our store. And there's a lot of pressure to that because, like I said earlier, if you know, buy something that I think is beautiful and fits for everyone, and then we can't sell it, it feels kind of like a defeat, right? A little bit of a failure. But I think what I love is building these relationships with vendors and feeling like we have this trust that we can buy these things, represent their beautiful brands, bring them into Mary's, and then see how our staff and the customers react. I can't tell you how many times when I walk through the store, like kind of nonchalant, and someone will look at one of my products that I've ordered and go, "Oh my gosh, wow." Rokel, for instance, Rokel gloves, very famous gloves. We came out with a new color, and I was like debating, should I get that plum color or whatever color? And the customer will be like, "This is so beautiful. I've been looking for something like this." Just those comments I look forward to. And also hearing our staff sell and work with the customers and have these like great interactions with them is really a highlight to our jobs. I mean, it's kind of a full circle moment really when like someone's like, "Oh, I just bought the new cask helmet or the new Sam Shield helmet." And I just purchased that, especially if it's like a custom one or a different color or a little nichey, there's a lot of victories with that. So yeah, that's a loaded question, but yeah, there's a lot of excitement just that can come full circle working there.
So do I flip the coin on that and say like, yeah, Megan already knows. What's the most challenging, difficult, problematic? I mean, I think you've kind of touched a little bit, but what makes it a
Yeah,
little bit, I don't want to
challenging.
say horrible or anything because that's not fair. It's pretty obvious you love your job, but yeah, what's kind of a Debbie Downer or something where you kind of go, "Oh, this is hard."
I think to flip the coin to let the sales and customers know that, guess what? This isn't available. Guess what? This brand is no longer, we're not going to do business with them anymore due to maybe what we need to do for ourselves or for the company's best interests. It was really tough a few years ago during COVID because every company was affected, whether it was the vendor or us. We couldn't get inventory. And so people really rely on us. I mean, at the end of the day, we pride ourselves on having everything for your horse, whether it's your backyard pet to your high performance Olympic hopeful, right? We want to have the whole scale of things. And it was really frustrating when we were ordering and the vendors have they couldn't get them off the ships. There was everything, all those ships were floating in the Pacific, waiting for to be docked. Right now we're dealing with tariffs, and a lot of companies are having to navigate vendors, to figure out how do they manage their margin. They still need to make their money for buying the goods and creating the art and the product. And then how do they pass it on to us? Do they wait? Do they just take the chance and hopefully the tariff doesn't affect them? So there's a lot of business decisions that can be challenging that way. But I think, we always want to be one step ahead. We always want to have what the customers want. And I think that's what's difficult is when we have to let, our sales and customers, "Ugh, the ETA on this item is going to be a little longer than we hoped." But I think people understand though that we are, at the end of the day, we are a brick and mortar store, and there's only so much space we can put everything, and we can only do our best to have the items there. And uh, yeah, I always say too, when things get kind of crazy, when customer service can be hard sometimes, right? We all know. I always say, we're selling bridles, we're selling halters, we're not curing the world. So we try to have some grace and patience with that. But I think at the end of the day, because we pride ourselves in working so well together that we can, get through it basically. So are there any
We have
hockey
a
brands you
question from our
sell?
resident Australian. So
Oh
she
my
means
gosh.
Australia. Do you carry
Yeah.
anything from Australia?
We do actually, and it's one of our really new and exciting brands, Laura Tweedy Bridles. I don't know if you guys have heard. It's primarily more of a dressage brand, but she has beautiful, absolutely beautiful bridles, saddle pads, horse boots, fly bonnets. She's kind of got a whole collection going on, and she's really taken off here. We actually have a few local riders that ride in it and are ambassadors of the brand. So that's been helpful to promote it in the store. And yeah, they're beautiful. And we have them on our website. So Laura Tweedy is the brand, and it's Tweede is how you spell it. And then Laura's Lara.
Yeah. Question. I'm curious, like, how do you connect with vendors? I know you said there was a trade fair, but like, do they call you? Do you call them? Or you just meet at a trade fair? And if you have a trade fair, do you need an assistant? Because I want to come.
Yeah.
And
I
where is the trade fair?
The trade fair is at this amazing place in Dallas. It's called the Dallas World Market Center. It is epic. It is like, I don't even know how many stories high because we're on like the 10th through the 14th, like all our different vendors during that trade show. So I think it goes all the way up to like 20 some floors. It's insanely big. That's a great question. We love interacting, especially with our overseas vendors. A lot of times, like people from Italy and Germany, they'll come over to ADA. That is the trade show in Dallas, and they'll meet with all the tax stores all over that can attend. And it's really great because they have showrooms and they can show us all the new products, what's in stock, what's in the future, and we can do some big buys. We are very lucky being in San Diego that we have some amazing local reps for some of our big companies that, brands that we work with that are luckily will come to see us, or people will fly in to see us, which we love. It's, I personally rather interact with our vendors one-on-one versus just a phone call, just because you can't really see or touch the product over a phone call. You can see and touch it in person, and it's great to get feedback from our staff, especially sales, and some of the other departments can look at, hey, this is coming in next spring. What do you guys think? What do you think of this texture? What do you think of this print? What do you think of this color? Are you selling this kind of breech? Are you selling this kind of tall boot, this kind of horse boot? So we really do have a great relationship with our vendors. We have to. That's kind of how we negotiate things too with these brands, that how we can order and work with them on delivery dates and big buys for the company. And yeah, so it kind of goes both ways. I would say we meet more with our reps at the store. They'll make a West Coast uh, uh, flight over, especially some of the overseas ones, or East Coast reps. They'll come over and like see us. They'll go to Dressage Extensions or Valencia or Calabasas, which is up in LA. They'll even go up to Northern California. So they catch a lot of the tax stores that are still around, that are still going. Oh, wow, that's a cool question. If I was at the store, would I see famous writers shopping? Actually, you probably would. Um, yes. So, for instance, Anna Buffini, who is beloved by our dressage community and most of the horse community, she literally trains and lives 5 minutes from Mary's. So she's in. Carl Cook is in a lot. He's a famous US jumper. We have I mean, of course, we're blessed with some of the amazing dressage Olympians. I'm a little biased because I'm a dressage writer, but we've got Gunter Seidel, Sabine Shoe-Carey, Christine Trahlrig, Nick Wagman, Stefan Peters, that are in very frequently. As in celebrities, though, we do have like Kaylee Cuoco from Big Bang Theory. She's in LA, but she'll come down and show down in Del Mar, right next to us. William Shatner would come in, actually. I believe he rides Arabians, or Morgans. I can't remember exactly.
It's
Um,
saddlebreds, American
oh,
saddlebreds.
okay, there you go. Yep, he would come in, and yeah, I mean, you never know. We actually had a famous like boxer come in from Mexico the other day. I mean, it's yeah, you get people. So, but it is cool. I remember a few of the cashiers. They first saw Anna Buffini after she had just killed it over at World Cup, And, they were like, Ellie, that's Anna Buffini. I can't believe it. I'm like, oh yeah, she's a cool girl. She's awesome. But it's really inspiring. And Anna has an amazing social media presence, and we really enjoy, supporting her as her being our customer. And also I feel like she promotes a lot of our brands that we carry, and she's local and competes. So she's been a really great ambassador for the companies she's worked with, and then also for Mary's too.
Is there anything else you want to tell about Mary's before we start to pick your brain on being a volunteer and organizing all the horse events?
All those horse events, yeah. I mean, I feel like we covered a lot. I mean, again, I feel like there's a lot of legacy with Mary's Tack and Feed. I've worked there for 11 years, but a lot of us have worked there even longer, who are the core people of the store. Our general manager, Jules, has been there for well over 25 years. And I mean, literally started like that's where she started in sales and as a sales manager all the way up to the GM. My supervisor and slash we're kind of battle buddies as being both supervisors. She's been there over 20 years. So there's just a lot of legacy with people being at Mary's. And I just really hope people understand that it's so cool. If you come out to San Diego, especially Del Mar, you've got to check, Mary's Tack and Feed out, and really check out our online, see that we have all the cool things, everything you need. And you can also just pick up the phone. We'll answer, we'll help you out. And we're all just a bunch of horse enthusiasts, at the end of the day. So I think knowing that people can be supported and what they want and get the knowledge that we can offer is huge. So I really have loved working there, and it's really been intertwined in like how I started out in San Diego. Like I said earlier on, when I first got the job there 11 years ago, the people I know now, a lot of it is because of Mary. So I'm very thankful for that.
That's awesome. Megan, we should let everybody know who's online that Megan and I are in Wisconsin. We are getting close to having some severe weather approaching us. So we're going to stay online, hopefully. But we should warn people.
Freezing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, hopefully, nothing will happen. But, with all severe weather, there's potential to lose power and such. So if we abruptly disappear, we apologize. Just know that it's probably due to a severe thunderstorm, but hopefully it won't happen. Right, Megan?
Hopefully.
Yeah.
All right. We're going to change gears and talk about all the volunteer things.
We are. And thank you, Mary's Tack and Feed. Thank you, Ellie, for explaining everything. I love Mary, so I really, really wanted you on.
Yay.
And so thank you. And
of
thank
course.
you to your team that's watching.
Thank you.
So
Thank you.
let's switch gears. So you have leadership and you're a volunteer and you run shows. You run shows through COVID. You run shows through disease. Like,
yeah.
And you're still standing. You're
I know. Like,
smiling.
what are we doing? Like, are we insane? Yes.
Yeah,
and I ride and compete and train. Like, it's the whole thing. Yeah. So, okay. Well, first of all, like I said, in Kansas City, I was a trainer per se. I was helping, I was teaching, I had some horses in training. And then when I moved out here, I was working with Rebecca Rigdon at Arroyo, and I worked for her and got training. And then as I shifted over to Mary's, I wanted to become more of like an amateur. I just wanted the training myself and wanted to show more and just kind of put that first. So I went into that role. I got involved in volunteering and with CDS San Diego, and showed up one day. I was like, I'll build some arenas with you guys. You need judges stands? Let's build the judges stands. Oh, you need a runner for test? Okay, like I can do it. I'll get my hands dirty. Let's do it. And really, there was such a nice group. It was very welcoming, and people were enthusiastic to get involved, and we started working on it. So then as we get closer to COVID, I go into a leadership role, And we start putting on, level 2, level 3 shows at Show Park, recruiting all the volunteers, working on the awards program. I mean, it became almost like a second full-time job, which I do love. And at the end of the day, the sport, especially in dressage, would not be without our amazing volunteers and people just giving back and doing a lot of volunteer work and sacrifice, for their time. Then we have COVID, and our facility, which is what I mentioned earlier, hits Del Mar, was just Del Mar Horse Park. It completely shut down. We had no show facility, and we had shows, going to be happening that year in 2020. And USEF had shut down shows. I mean, all of you guys were affected everywhere in the country. We just didn't compete for a few months. And luckily, many of you know Galway Downs is about an hour north from us. Beautiful facility. We have a great relationship with Robert Kellerhouse and Galway Downs, and he was gracious enough to let us move our shows there as USEF was able to reopen, shows. It took a few months, but we were able to literally uproot everything we had kind of had down in Del Mar, move all our stuff up to Galway, work with a whole new facility, new volunteers, because again, it's like an hour away. A lot of people can't necessarily commute that far to volunteer. And, we were like, okay, we're doing this, and a big help to me, and we've become really great friends, is Shirley Rogozensky. She's part of CDS San Diego. She got involved with me during this time, and we look back now and laugh and go, do you remember when we had to put on new shows, deal with viruses, do all this stuff? It's insane, right? And but yet manage, make sure the competitors are happy, make sure the judges are happy, make sure the facility's happy with you, make sure we can afford this, make sure we do enough fundraising, just all the things. So we get through the first year of COVID. And then that good old EHV outbreak started happening in 2021, 2022, which really complicated things because USEF had their restrictions, and then the facilities had to, especially being California, they had their own, state regulations and restrictions that they needed to do. So we're trying to put on a show. Everyone's in masks. Horses are, segregated. People are just trying to qualify, and get their bronze or qualify for regionals if there even is one. And just it was a lot between 2020 and 2023. It was a lot of obstacles, and luckily we had a great group behind us, and hits reopened in 2024. And that made a huge impact, to get the community back into Del Mar. There's such a big hunter jumper dressage community, right here in San Diego, like 30, 45 miles, around Del Mar. So to have that reopen has made, a lot of impact on getting the shows back down there.
You did so much work. Thanks a lot to Facebook. I could keep tabs
Yeah,
on you.
I know. I
It
feel
was
like I
so
became the
hard.
social media, hey guys, these are class sponsorships. Hey guys, we need scribes. Hey guys, this is me and Barry talking about, don't you want to be at the show this weekend? Yeah.
And did you find people where they see you and they start running because they knew you were going to ask for something?
I know, right? We're like, well, she didn't respond to me. I wonder why she didn't get I think she read the message. I think she read it. Yeah.
Well,
No,
I think
I
it's
feel,
amazing what you did because literally Show Park closed down, and I was there both winters with the pandemic and EHV1, and I had traveled to California to show. I didn't get to show. Oh, poor
yeah.
me. Whoa, so
Wow.
sad. But you were very instrumental in getting the shows back. So thank you for everything you did. But I think it's such a what one person can do creates, this whole community, and that everybody, whether you're unhappy or want to change something, you can do it. Like people can
Hmm.
help out and make it happen.
Hmm.
I
Yeah,
love that.
yeah, thank you. Well, I think for me, I really advocate for the amateurs. I am like, go amateurs. I'm all about it. So the landscape of my life right now is I have an amazing 7-year-old named Barry Barrington. I got him back in 2022. And the story is kind of a cool story, actually. I want to dive into that a little bit because that's kind of intricate to like what's, happened with the shows and all that. So in 2022, Geo, my horse that I had ever since he was 2.5, he was then now 15. All these years later, we're competing at I-1, doing our I-1 freestyle and getting ready for championships that are going to be in LA. And unfortunately, he had a career-ending injury, which then led to foundering. It was tragic. It was the most tragic 6 weeks of my life. And this is all happening between August and September of 2022. And a good friend of mine, Trine Ducharme, was up by the hospital. She actually represents Hovin's Horse Feed, which you guys maybe have heard. It's an amazing feed company. And she has a private property near the hospital where I was going to like nearly every few days to go see Geo. And she offered me to ride Barry, her young horse, this 4-year-old. She's like, oh, just ride him. He's easy. He's great. He's big. You should just get on him and ride him. It's fun. Blah, blah, blah. Just nothing. I'm like, okay, that's great. Like I would love to keep my mind, occupied for an hour. Well, we rode and we clicked in like instantly. I've never ridden a horse like that. I loved his personality. It was just so cool and sweet, right? So as we're going through this the next couple weeks, I continued to ride Barry for fun and work with her trainer and, just like go up there and do a few rides. And we just keep clicking. And she's like, Ellie, I think you should take him to the 4-year-old futurity up in LAEC. They do CDS does a 4, 5, and 6-year-old futurity. California, it's awesome. It's a really great program. They've been doing it for years. And I go, oh, Trine, I'm just an amateur. Like, what am I gonna do? Like, whatever. And I don't want to put that much pressure on you or him. And, what if I don't do good? I'm just thinking like it's a financial thing too. So she just kept saying, Ellie, you got to do this. We believe in you. Just do it. Who cares? It'll be good exposure for him, whatever. So we go up there. It's literally like, I mean, Geo is like every day is like, is it a good day? Is it a bad day? We're throwing everything at Geo to hopefully come to the other side of this. And we go to the championships and Barry and I kill it. Like it was one of those like movie moments. And I probably will never experience that ever again. We won the material, we won the training level with huge scores. And it was like, is this real? Is this really happening? And then not even 2 days after I got home, we had to make the decision to put down Geo, which was heartbreaking. And honestly, I had to kind of pivot my whole life then to, dealing with grieving about this and like, what's my next steps? And Trine is lovely and said, Ellie, while you're, dealing with this and, if you want to ride Barry, come up and see him, whatever you can. And she did. She let me ride him for, the next month or two. And then we had a really sit down, intimate conversation. And we talked about like, hey, this is a really good match for you, Ellie. Would you want to purchase Barry and can we work something out? And I was hysterical and happy and sad and, all the things like coming out. Cause I'm like, if Gio had never had this fatal situation happen, I would never have probably been placed with Barry. And now, fast forward 3 years later, he's like my heart horse. He's my baby. I love him. I have a great relationship with Trine still. Like she's very involved in his life. He still eats Hovin's feed. And I see her all the time at the shows, and she drops off the feed and so I really think Trine, Barry, and ultimately Geo, he really like this came to him, and I feel like this was his gift to me from the universe to like give Barry. So I'm always forever grateful for my relationship with Gio for all those years, and then, leading me to Barry now.
That is so special. Thank you for sharing.
Of course. Of
Aw.
course. Yeah, no, it's super special. And then I was saying kind of the landscape of my life right now is, we train full time with Nick Wagman in Encinitas, California, which is right near Del Mar. I've been with Nick for over 6 years now. It's crazy. So he helped me with Geo, got me all the way up to I-1 successfully. And then as Barry came into my life, he has continued helping me and training me and being part of my journey. And we have such an amazing barn family there. I've met my best of friends out of it, and they have really great amateurs and junior riders, and it's just a great program to be in. And Barry really and I enjoy being there. That's so cute. Thank you, Christine. That's so sweet. It's funny what a filter can do, right? I feel like this filter you guys put me on, I like logged in and I'm like, oh my gosh, wow, it smooths everything out. This is great. I need this every day.
I have the old age filter on. You have the
No,
beautiful filter on.
no.
Now I have
Oh
this
no.
weird backdrop on, so like my ear disappears. I guess it's this one suddenly disappears, or like it grows out, and
Oh my
it
God.
fuzzes out the background and puts a fake background in, and I'm like, oh, look at like I'm missing an ear.
Oh my gosh, you look
It's like
great. Hey,
sort of
you're
green screen.
surviving the storm right now, so you're doing great.
It's I don't know about you, Megan. It's booming. Yeah,
Oh,
it's descending upon us. So fingers crossed that nothing's gonna happen and we won't just suddenly disappear. But
yeah.
we've been pretty reliable. But yeah, just in case those of you watching, if we just suddenly go poof, it's weather related.
Yeah.
But I'm curious, scrolling back a little bit to talking about, your time commitment and your volunteerism with CDS. So Megan knows and Megan has been, we've both been involved quite a bit with our local GMO throughout the years. And I mean, I've been active on the board of ours for, gosh, 13 or 14 years. I don't even know anymore. But one of the things that we've discussed, and we actually just merged, we had two GMOs in the state. We actually just merged them together because they were both, honestly, it was a struggle. And I think Megan can talk to this as a professional. She was kind of required, and we'll put that in the quotes mark, to support both. And it became challenging, and it actually pulled volunteers away. One, you can't volunteer in two places. So on that note, like, it sounds like you guys, what's your challenge for getting volunteers? Because we're struggling quite a bit. And as I used to go down when I was president, I used to go to, the gathering, we'll call it, each November, December.
Yeah.
And I do all the, GMO roundtable, discussions and stuff. And, it always comes back to where it's getting harder and harder to find volunteers. So CDS is, I think they've got to be like the largest GMO, right, in the nation.
I believe them, or is it NITA? Is that
Or NITA. Yeah,
NITA
between the
is
two of
probably,
them.
yeah, between the two of them. That is the uphill battle for sure. I think the biggest thing that we've struggled with is the volunteers. We can coordinate the judges, we can coordinate the events at the shows and all of that, but how do you get people, you can't do a show without a scribe. You can't do a show without really the runners or the ring steward. I mean, it really has to be all there. I think the distance for stuff, what was really challenging in Temecula, because Del Mar is such a niche area. I think location and the proximity of the facilities, that's where people, if it's going to take them an hour to get somewhere, it's hard to get them there. We try to do some incentives for our volunteers. In the past, we've done credits towards their shows, because a lot of them are actually competitors, that they want to compete at some of the shows that we have. Some of them want, some gas money. Some people would rather, we obviously would take care of them and get them lunch and snacks and all those things. So that goes a long ways. I think a big challenge, and I think as we are evolving, we're doing a lot more e-scribing. And e-scribing takes a skill. Like just like it takes a skill to be a scribe, regardless if you handwrite. But I think to rely on people to be there, especially when we have CDIs incorporated in our shows or USEF qualifiers for like lamplight, young riders and juniors, we have double judging, we have all those things. To have, if you don't have scribes, you can't do the show. So they're actually paying people to come to the shows now, and that's kind of where it feels, honestly, it feels a little torn. I understand people need to, you know, um, they're dedicating their time and energy and their gas and all of that, and so they appreciate it. But I also wish, it's like hard, like 10 years ago people would just honestly do it. So it's just kind of a cultural change. And I think too, with technology advancing, with all these online and e-scribing, I think people are kind of expecting that. So we have had to fundraise more. I have to say, our biggest benefits to help supplement some of that is class sponsorships. I promote those all the time. I actually need to promote them this week because they really help supplement some of those expenses to help our volunteers and the judges and hospitality, anything like that. Um, we usually do them for $35 a class, so it's pretty economical. And a lot of people will, like, for instance, for me, like if I look at sponsoring a show, a lot of the big shows are asking like $500, $1,000. That's not really in my price range, or what I'm able to do. But I could probably do $100. I could do 75. I could do maybe 150. And I think for a lot of people that's more reasonable, and they feel like they gave back, and that can help supplement. So class sponsorships are really important. Also, we, on our website, on CDS San Diego's website, we have a trainer section where trainers pay to have their ad there, because when you Google San Diego Dressage, our website comes up right away. And I feel like we're a real landing spot for the trainers there. So we say, hey, for $50 a year, you can have a beautiful picture. I'll link it to your Instagram or Facebook or your website or all of the above, and people can find you. And we found that that's really beneficial to help supplement, some of those costs, because I do feel like volunteers are getting far and few between. I know that was a long-winded answer, and it's kind of that awkward, like, how do you get people to come to shows now? But I think there's got to be some incentive, like whether it's they get credits off their show, they get a free stall, or whatever makes sense for the GMO to budget for.
I'm so curious because my day job is accounting. And I'm so curious because we've gone round and round on our GMO. And of course, we're in a different state. So some of this is going to be different based on location. But our accounting people are like, you can't pay people, or it's a whole, well, it's not like you can't, but it's like, it gets to be a tricky tax thing. Of course, I'm talking about Wisconsin. You guys are in California. You're going to have different things as far as the states go. But our biggest challenge is, like you said, people kind of want some sort of reimbursement. And, our accounting people have just kind of dug their heels in and like, so it's challenging.
It's challenging. Yeah, for sure. I know. I mean, looking back, like now we don't even set up the arenas anymore. We pay a crew to do it, which they're amazing, and I love that. But it really has offset like the wear and tear on us. I mean, to set up one arena is one thing, but to set up 4 or 5 arenas, it's hard, and it's tiresome. So, and a lot of the facilities now, they provide that. That's just part of their rental agreement with us, is like, well, you set up and tear down is an X amount of fee, and we're just going to do it that way.
What other changes have you noticed besides volunteering? You know, that you have to pay volunteers, but like in running a show versus 10 years ago, have you seen any changes or even a decline? Do you find that the industry is declining at all?
I mean, I do think everything, as we know, in horses has gone up expense-wise. I think our facilities have gotten better, which then means things have gotten more expensive. You know, a lot of places have brought in amazing footing, and we love that. And they've revived the stabling, they've created more arenas, but then they've also got to pay themselves back. So then it gets passed through to the competitors. I think, I believe that Southern California, what I miss about like the Midwest and hearing, like, going back to my mom, she used to do a lot of shows like Silverwood shows, and that's a beautiful facility. We don't have a lot of private facilities that can host shows here, and to keep expenses down. Not that those owners that own the private facilities want to charge what they want to charge, but we are going up against facilities that are for profit. You know, they put on big events, or they're used to putting on, things like thermal, for instance, out in Indio, California. They have 2,000 horses there. Well, a dressage show could never compete against a 2,000 horse hunter jumper show, so their expenses, are through the roof, but they're also profiting a lot between people staying there for weeks on end and sponsorships and all that. So I think where it's declining is it's people are picking and choosing their shows more. I noticed that even with our awards program, or even qualifying for things like CDS has had to change some of their requirements to make it, in a way, a little more lenient, so people don't have to go to so many shows to get their scores, which again is a blessing and a curse, because we want people to come to championships, but we also want them to be supporting the show, so they need to go to more. But I feel like, especially in San Diego, we've got these amazing shows that do CDIs and level 3 qualifiers, but that are a little bit expensive. And then we have like schooling shows, which those are fantastic shows, but they don't necessarily get you some of the awards or um, uh, requirements that you need. Like if you're looking for your bronze medal or your silver medal or your rider awards or freestyle bar or anything like that. So to have something more at a private facility, like a one ring show or two ring show where your entry can be under $500, that would be more enticing, I think. And I think we could get some more people, into the sport, because it's becoming more like this, like narrower, and not expanding. I have to say, though, on a positive note, I'm seeing a lot more youth at the shows. California, Region 7 used to be like the young rider dream team between Region 7 and Region 3, I believe, and even Region 1, and I mean, all of them have had their high moments, right? But Region 7, like, there was lists of young riders and juniors, right? And then it kind of declines. Like, we've all gotten older, or they moved on, or become trainers or whatever. But I'm seeing now these, especially last year and this year, there's a lot more pony riders, there's a lot more juniors, there's a lot more kids in general. So that's real inspiring to see. And we've got some amazing trainers out here working with them. So I'm hoping that they will keep going, on and on. Yeah. Christine just said, when I tried out for Young Riders, there was 24 girls trying. Yep, I believe it. Yep. That was like normal. Anywhere from probably 16 to 30 names were on the list, yeah, in Region 7, especially 15 years ago. Yeah, well, fair. Oh, yeah. Oh,
Megan's giving
okay.
me the hairy eyeballs, telling me it's my turn to ask
Yeah.
questions. But like, what do you think the biggest challenges for? As you mentioned, you're in one of the chapters of the
Mhm.
large GMO CDS,
Mhm.
California Dressage Society. What do you think they're or have identified? Like, has that board identified challenges that they foresee that they're kind of, I don't want to say taking the bull by the horns and trying to address, but they're aware of, maybe is a better way to say it. Obviously, we talked about the volunteer problem. You know, that dwindling volunteerism is well known. But is there anything else that they're kind of looking in the future and saying this is going to become more challenging? We need to figure out how to address this.
Yeah, I think we want to stay as relevant as possible with doing events. I think, back 10 plus years ago, a lot of GMOs, they would do the judges programs, they would put on clinics, symposiums. And again, we're seeing more private people putting them on for profit, and they do an amazing job at doing some of these events, especially the master classes or judges forums and all of that. But I think we've got to find, a way that what people want to see more of with like the judges program, for instance, because a lot of our judges are aging out. I mean, they're amazing judges, but we need judges for the next 20 years. And it is exciting to see. There's actually several from California that are moving up, becoming large R's from a small R or becoming S's and all of that. But I think, we when we do talk, we're like, okay, what does the community want? We always go back to that base. We're always about what does the community want? What do the riders want? Do they want more awards? Do they want more grants? Do they want more clinics? And, it gets challenging because we're like, well, we do this clinic. Someone did that clinic a few months ago, that kind of theme. We used to be the only like entity that would put on events like that. So I just think us trying to stay relevant and stay creative and just really do what's best for the community, because at the end of the day, that's what CDS is about anyway. It's about the members and like what they need and what their wants are. I will say one of the best things that we've put on in the recent years is the new test symposiums. We've really cultivated that, and we bring in great judges. In the past, we had Christy Wasaki one year, we had Mike Osinski recently, and we get some of our best riders in the area to come in, volunteer their horses to present their tests. And last time we had well over 100 people come. I mean, it was epic. And so something like that, I feel like, because we're all about education, that's kind of where we're leaning towards. We're trying to keep that creative wheel going with it, but it becomes challenging because, again, do people want that? Are people going to watch it online? Are people, can they afford it? Is this the right price for a clinic? Is it too expensive? Is it too inexpensive? It's evolving to say the least.
Well, this has been awesome. Have
Yeah.
we touched on everything? Is there anything that we should talk about? Because I feel like we touched on everything.
I know we did touch on a lot of things. I know. I feel like I'm gonna like get off the call and be like, oh, we didn't talk about this or that, but no, we have, and I feel almost exhausted talking about
Yeah.
like, okay, I do this, I do this, I do this, I do that. No, no, I love it all, but it is a lot. I always say I like wear all these different hats, like I run CDS San Diego, I work at Mary's Tack and Feed, I ride full time with with Barry and Nick Wagman. I'm on social media. I'm posting about fundraising and sponsorships, and we need to, get entries up, people. Let's go. And, I'm always thinking of creative ways to get people information.
Yeah.
I love my TikToks and my little reels, and,
I
I,
love watching them. Please keep it up. I
oh,
always want to know how you do, because you put the music. I love watching you ride Barry. I
oh,
watch
thank you.
Geo. So keep it
Yeah.
up. It's such a positive, bright light, and we need you in our sport. And I hope anyone who's watching, you can be that bright light too.
Oh, you're so
Join,
sweet. Thank you.
you know.
Yeah.
Thank you. Keep it up. We need you.
Right. We need it. Yeah. Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
no,
inspiring.
it's Thank you. Thank you. Well, and again, it kind of goes back to my roots, like my parents. I mean, I really wouldn't be doing this if my mom wasn't a dressage rider and dressage, and competed in Florida and met all those trainers and became a TD. And I mean, I remember when I was like in elementary school, she would take me to the conventions, the USDF conventions, and I'd meet all the different judges and TDs, and it's fun over the years going to the shows and now being a competitor, especially as I'm more an adult. The judges are like, "Oh, Ellie, I've known you since you were, 2 years old, or when your mom was pregnant," or it's just wild that I have this legacy within this community of knowing these people for so many years. So it's I just personally, I love advocating for amateurs. I love advocating for our sport. I really hope that we continue to grow the sport, with the youth. And working at Mary's, I feel like I'm super connected with multiple disciplines, but also really in the dressage world. And I just hope it continues to flourish.
I agree. I mean, we're
Yeah.
all about community, and you certainly have inspired me because I know being a horse trainer, it can be lonely, especially in
Hmm.
Wisconsin.
Hmm.
And that's what I love coming out to California. It's such a different vibe. I feel like, no offense, Wisconsin, but California has a better community. I mean, really, because I can network, people know how to network. I can pick up the phone and call my
Hmm.
great friend and be like, what would you do with this horse? And
Hmm.
I train with Kathleen Rain. I think she's
Oh, yeah,
amazing.
she's amazing. Her and
Yeah.
David and Alyssa Doverspike, they're awesome people. Yeah.
They truly are amazing, and just to be able to have her as a mentor, and I like, just last week I was like,
Mhm.
am I still a good person if I have these thoughts?
Yeah.
And she's kind of like my moral compass. And I hope that we can bring that to Wisconsin, and I hope we can also like share, people who are watching this live stream. I hope you can bring it to your state if you're in South
Hmm.
Dakota, if you're wherever you are.
Hmm.
So thank you for bringing that bright light, and
Of course.
yeah, and everybody
Yeah.
go to Mary's.
Go to Mary's. Yes. Love
Yeah.
Mary's. Go to marystack.com. Check us out on social media. We're always posting fun, reels and, promotions, and, we'll get in touch with you guys, and you can always reach out to me. My handle on Instagram is really easy. It's just Ellie Dressage. It's really, I made it easy for everyone to find me. So, and it's Barry. It's Kansas City Chiefs because I'm obsessed with Kansas City football, and Taylor Swift.
I'm
Yeah,
surprised. We are
so
Yeah.
Swifties.
if everyone, yeah, I mean, yeah. So
You're a
if
Swiftie.
I'm a
I'm a Swiftie.
Swiftie, oh yay, oh good,
Yeah,
okay, yes,
absolutely.
I love it. I know. I even did a freestyle last fall to Taylor Swift. Yep.
Yay.
I think I actually need to do it again. I
You
mean,
do.
it's a third level freestyle. It's awesome. I should actually do it in the next couple shows. It was so fun, and we did a costume. It was
Yeah.
actually epic. I dressed up as Travis Kelce. How
Ah,
crazy!
I love it.
I had a jersey and all the thing. Barry had the football on him, and at 87, I mean, we went full tilt. It was great. So yeah, I'm a Kansas City girl at heart, and a Swiftie as well. So
I can get behind the Swiftie.
love it, love
Kansas
it.
City, we're Packers people over
I
here.
know.
We
Well,
like our cheese.
ironically, my mom is from Wausau, Wisconsin. She was born and
Yeah.
raised. Yep.
Yeah.
I went to school in Stevens Point, and
Oh,
then she went out to North Carolina, and that's where my parents met, and they had the farm and all that. So yeah,
See, she's my people. No wonder
she's your
why I love
people.
her
We're
as a
Midwest
TD.
folks through and through.
Yeah.
there you
Oh my
go.
God. This is amazing. I had no idea.
Yeah, I know. Yep.
I just
Lake Minocqua. I used to go there when I was a little kid. Yep.
I just drove through on Saturday morning, Stevens Point and Wausau. So
Oh, nice,
yeah,
nice.
yeah.
Very
You never
cool.
know. That's cool. But yeah,
A
go
small
Swifty.
world.
It's a
Yeah,
very
Yeah.
small world.
yeah.
Well,
We'll make Megan into a Swifty one of these days.
I like Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
it
Okay.
off.
Shake it off, baby.
That's my girl. That's my
Yeah.
song.
Yeah, for sure.
Shaking it off. All right.
Yeah, that's
cool.
awesome. Well, thank you. I really appreciate it. I know Megan does
Yes.
too, as she said. We appreciate everybody who's sticking in there to ask, and watch. And I did a quick shout out to see if anybody had anything else to ask, but I don't think we've got anybody who wants to pop a question out. So that's okay. We appreciate
All
it.
right.
But yeah,
Yeah.
make sure you guys hit subscribe before you disappear on us. We'd appreciate that, right, Megan? We're working on
Please.
milestones.
Yay.
Yep.
We're working
Yep.
on milestones. We're so
Awesome.
close.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well,
Cool.
I really appreciate both Stephanie and Megan. You guys are awesome. It was great to talk to you. I feel like I'm happy to come back on again. I feel like there's
Yes.
more like I need to talk about. I don't know. I feel like I go on tangents a little bit. So
That's
I'm
okay.
a talker. I'm just like, oh, I can word vomit
We'll do
everywhere
it.
sometimes.
We've had a
Okay.
couple people that we've said, let's have you back on. That doesn't have to be right away. We'll give you a break.
Yeah.
We know this
Love
is
it.
like an interrogation sometimes, and we don't mean it to be. It's more meant
Yeah.
to be a discussion. So, but it's for people to get to know our guests. So we really
Awesome.
appreciate it. Yeah, we really appreciate your time. Time is money, as we know. It's precious, especially when you're a horse person. There's
Oh, you're a
always
horse
something
girl.
to do.
There's always something going on.
There's always something that has to happen and has to get fixed or whatever. So we appreciate your time so
Yeah.
much.
Thank
Well,
you so
Right? Anything
much,
else?
guys.
And hopefully in maybe January, February, or March, we
Yeah.
can come out and visit the actual location and get
Yes,
video.
I'll give you the barn tour of everything.
Yes.
I'll give you the barn tour of where Barry and I are, and you can come and get Mary's tour. We'll do
Oh my
we'll do a
God.
whole thing. Oh, we'd love that. We
Let's
would love
do
that.
it. I want to
Yeah.
meet Barry.
You got to meet Barry. And then you guys can see, we can show you all the behind the scenes of Mary's too. Because again, as a customer, you only see the front facing of where the
Right.
merchandise is. So you can see some of the behind the scenes of how we, put stuff together and package it and tag it and all the stuff that you don't usually see. So
Oh, thank you.
Awesome.
We would
Yeah.
love that.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, it's a
We have a
deal.
date?
It's a date. I love it. It's a date.
That's awesome.
All
Well,
right.
thank you again so much for your time. We won't keep you too much. We know
Okay.
it's probably getting to the dinner hour over there.
Yep.
And we're going to
Yep,
have you back.
I'll be
we're gonna be
back.
back.
I promise. Okay.
Awesome.
Thank you guys.
Thank you. Have a good night.
You too. Take care. Bye.
There's my hand.
Bye.
Okay. Well, that was awesome. We really appreciated it. Make sure you guys do hit the subscribe. We'd appreciate the support so much. We are trying to keep this channel going and growing. Right, Miss Megan?
That's right.
It's
Working
storming.
on it.
It's storming, Megan.
That was so awesome. I'm so grateful
Yeah,
Ellie took time out of her busy schedule to talk to us. Woo!
Yeah, absolutely. And I remember hearing about Mary's Tack when I was a kid. So I love it. This is so much fun. And I love that, we're here in Wisconsin, but if we wanted to try something from Mary's Tack, they've got an online team. You can call them up, have a conversation with a human who can help you out. That's fantastic. So I should pop that website back on the screen real quick. I got to scroll up and get to it. I think I just went flying by it right there. So it's marystack.com. Make sure you guys, check it out, bookmark it, visit them online, learn all the things. Right, Miss Megan?
That's right.
So anything else going on for you before we head out?
No, I'm just trying to get July organized. What about you? How have you been?
Yeah, it's hot.
Yeah, I forgot because we're inside in the AC.
Yeah, it's brutal outside.
It's pretty awful, peeps. It's pretty awful.
Yeah, it was. I was up in the UP. I posted a couple of shorts. I was up on Lake Superior. Make sure you guys check those out. It was 90s. I think it either got to 96 or 97 degrees on the lakeshore of Lake Superior in the UP. It was brutal, and there was no wind.
We lucked out. We had wind. It was 30 miles an hour. But today, I was told today was supposed to be cooler than the weekend. I got into the truck. It said 103.
Yeah.
Not okay. Not okay, people. We don't live in Arizona. We live in Wisconsin. Rein it back in.
Yep. Yeah. But yeah, I don't have much else. We're gonna keep going. We got another live stream scheduled. I don't have my
I think
calendar
next
for me.
Monday, right?
I think so.
It is. I don't have his name with me at the very moment. It might. But we're gonna be talking about horseshoeing. We're gonna have a farrier on. I'm so excited.
That's awesome. I'm really excited too. That's great. And then you and I are going to be making more videos. We're going on site with Mr. Cameraman over the weekend to visit
Wendy.
multiple, Wendy, but it's multiple nonprofits that she hosts, I guess we could say. So pretty excited. Therapeutic
Very
riding and
excited
all kinds of stuff. So we will have a series of videos coming out. And she was Horsewoman of the, was it
Wisconsin
what was the
State
title?
Horse Council. She was Horsewoman of the Year, and her horse Gerber was the Horse of the Year.
Yeah, he was awesome.
Pretty cool.
So looking forward to seeing them at home. So but yeah, it's how's the storming by you?
The rain has started, so we should probably call it.
Yeah, before we lose power. But thanks everybody. We see all you online. We really appreciate it. Please do hit that subscribe before you leave. We've been publishing a ton of videos. If you guys would help us, go watch them, like them, leave some videos, comments, especially the comments. YouTube's been kind of weird about people not leaving comments. I don't know.
And please subscribe. Don't forget.
Hit that subscribe.
You. We need the
It's
love.
free. It's free.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right. We'll say hi to Mr. Cameraman, Miss Megan.
Will do. He's working hard.
Yeah. Got to get in the house before the rain gets too bad. But we'll see everybody. Where's my hand? There it is. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Have a great
Thank
night.
you.
We really appreciate you all tuning in.